This week, I'm concluding our 4-month journey together that's involved my response to questions you have asked. Thank you for this journey. It's been delightful for me. I hope it has been for you. And I think it bears repeating maybe sometime in the future. Now, next week, I will begin a series which is still in response to several questions that you have asked me, and that is concerning my learnings concerning faith and life from the Indian community with whom Karen and I walked for 8 years as I served as Bishop of the Oklahoma Indian Missionary Conference. Our first week, next week, will be exploring the beauty of the foundation of the faith journey of the Indian people, the Great Spirit. But now, for this week, I've combined several questions into two, and the questions are as follows. First of all, what is so attractive about Islam to those who are converting to Islam, especially from the Christian faith? And secondly, why is the invitation of Christianity today falling on deaf ears in our culture? Now, the reason I'm combined several questions into these two concerning Islam and Christianity is that these are the two major religions in our culture which reach out to others to increase their number of adherents. Growth in the number of adherents is a major component of Islam and Christianity. It must be noted from the beginning, I'm not including Judaism in this discussion because growth is not an essential component of Judaism. They welcome a person who comes to them, but they are not reaching out to solicit persons to their faith journey in the Jewish religions. They're not opposed to receiving converts who come to them, but the Jewish community does not reach out as Islam and Christianity do to who they consider to be non-believers. Now, in response to the first question, I'm not able, nor am I willing to speak on or behalf of the Islamic community. All I can do is share the stories of those with whom I have visited who have been converts to Islam from the Christian faith. My summary of what attracted these converts to Islam is that Islam offered them and invited them to a religion which offered guidance to a disciplined religious life, a moral code inspired by Allah to follow, and both of which are free from the trappings of racism and classism, which in their opinion have ensnared Christianity. My response to the second question is that the primary component of the traditional invitation to the Christian community is the reward of an everlasting experience with God beyond the event of death. All one needs to do is, one, look at the history and practice of the Roman Catholic Church, which dominated Christianity in the Western world for over 1,000 years, and then review the Protestant experience in the United States early in our history as a nation called the Great Awakening, or simply review the words of the hymns we sing often in the Christian community today. Looking at these three, the hymns we sing, the Great Awakening in the United States, and the tradition of the Roman Catholic Church, it's perfectly clear that the invitation of the Christian community includes the major component of life beyond death with God. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons why this is falling on deaf ears. But I'm convinced that the primary reason this is not attractive today is basically it's an invitation to self-centered living. That one's faith commitment is for one's own salvation. And that's counter to the agape love revealed in the life of Jesus, that disciples are called to serve others by recognizing and being agents of agape love in God's world. So a basic component of our invitation is counter to who we profess to be. I've been privileged to observe hundreds of United Methodist congregations, some at a distance, some close up. My observation is that true growth occurs when persons make first-time commitments of faith, responding to the invitation to serve others. True growing congregations are congregations who serve the not yet church instead of serving those who exist already in the pews. Oh, to be sure, the numbers game is played in the Protestant community of counting numbers in terms of who transfers from one faith community to the other, and if you receive a lot of transfers, you're growing the church. But that doesn't work for me. True church growth is first-time commitments. And first-time commitments, my observation is, are those that respond to an invitation to serve others rather than simply to get a benefit for themselves of life beyond death with God. Now, I want to conclude with my story of visiting Angola, where the United Methodist Church in Angola was doubling in size in 7 years. Doubling in size in 7 years. I kept hearing about a laywoman in Luanda who was an agent of agape love. And on the last day, we had quite a party because because of the Civil War that was going on. I was the first bishop from the United States or from outside of Angola to visit Angola for quite a few years. And at that party, a person came up to me and said, "You asked to meet me. I'm Mary." Well, all of a sudden, all of Blake's prejudices were revealed, and they perished immediately. I thought Mary would be a person of age, with time to be such an agent of God's love. But Mary was a young mother, employed outside the home, as was her husband. And I marveled at her joy and finally said, I've heard all the stories. How do you have time? And how can you, Mary, invite and lead so many persons to the journey of faith to serve others? She hesitated before she answered. Then, with a tinge of embarrassment, she answered, "The only voice God has is my voice. Tears swelled up in my eyes. Tears swelled up in Mary's eyes. We embraced, never to see each other again. But I had experienced the reason the church in Angola was doubling in size in 7 years, and the church over which I had supervision was shrinking. You see, their invitation was to be the voice of God, serving others. Our invitation was to be served by the gift of everlasting life. I discovered that those two were different. My tears came as a result of experiencing firsthand the invitation that the Christian church needs to be about. Come on with us. Be the voice of God. Be the voice of love in your everyday life. Join the journey. I hope all of these times together have been helpful, but I leave you this week with simply one question. Are we a part of the church to be served, to get something out of it? Or are we a part of the church to serve others, to be sure others experience God's love? Enjoy the journey. Thank you for listening.